Happy Wednesday, let's go. We have a video for it. Go ahead and give a comment below this video, give it a thumbs up, and score this Moondrop. This is Tago Studio X Moondrop. I don't know if this is going to be a big release because I didn't even know it existed, though it's already on the secondhand market in Japan. So there's some confusion about what's going on here. You notice it's a fairly small box. It's about $320 in conversion. I can only see it in yen, which is 49, about 5 man, which is about $500, $100 to 10,000 yen, but it's not that right now. So I would say it's probably around it's a 3DD set and it's around $300 or a bit more than that. And it's a very Spartan small presentation. The Daybreak makes this look extremely budget. It's a very small box. It's one of the smaller IM packagings that I've seen from Moondrop actually. It's got a cable that's made out of fabric with switchable termination, and the fabric, this is in fact microphonic, which means that if it's hanging down on your chest and it's sliding across your chest, you'll hear the transfer of sound through the same thing happened with the Deuce. This is, I would think, worse, but there's levels of unacceptable, but it's all the same thing. It's something that you don't want to really do. If you look at that, you'll say, holy crap, that's huge, but it gives you a good illustration of how it's literally 3DDs stacked. And the design of this is, it's not as bad as it looks, but when any reviewer says that, it's always like, whoa, what? You wouldn't sleep with this and you shouldn't do any kind of active sports with it. This is actually pushed in, by the way. I can't push in further than that. But that being said, just sitting and listening, I don't really find a problem with it because it's not that heavy, actually. It's quite light. But I wouldn't move around a lot with it because its design is interesting, I guess. It's kind of a novelty. I'm not sure what's going on with this set. Let's talk about the tuning. We got the Daybreak, the Lush. The Daybreak is very similar, like a lot of Matas, to my personal target, which is 2022. I bring that up because this is called the Harmon SP, which is based on a target that people used to use as a reference and then walked away from completely, and now they do other stuff like JM1. I don't even know what that stands for. A lot of other stuff, and I don't really care about any of the industry standards at all. I never cared about Harmon. I thought it was garbage. I don't care what JM stands for. I don't know what 1 means. I don't care. I'd rather look at some reviewer's target and their reviews and then put it together myself, because it's not a very complicated puzzle, actually. Impressions, evaluation, ranking, tuning, what is that person's actual preference, because it's all on Squig. So the Harmon is this version of the Harmon, and this is kind of an extreme version. As you can see, relative to the Lush and the Daybreak, it's a very V-shaped tuning. And what that means is that the low end, the rhythm section, any low frequency events is going to be substantial. It's going to be very present whenever it's in the mix. And it's going to, like all bass sets, particularly with that much mid bass, it's going to damage your ability to hear and really perceive the mids. Even if it's crossed over and all of this stuff, it's still, it's a mental distraction to have that much low frequency. So this is really definitely for like hip hop and EDM, though I wouldn't want that much upper mid and treble. So the bass is extreme. If you're a bass head, you don't need to spend $300 really. You can go you could get a Martillo for like the same price, and it's a tribrid, and it's got better tuned bass than this and much better upper mids. And so this is like a 2019 tuning that is very similar to the Area or the Audia. You can go and check that graph online. That was a $30, $40 set. Now this has 3DDs, but that tuning was not as bassy as this, and some people said that it was borderline. I wasn't a fan of that set, but just for reference, this is one of the bassiest sets that Moondrop's ever released. And it's got a lot of upper mids, so it's a V-shaped set. And a V-shaped set, in case you can't remember, is like this. And this is the bass, and this is the treble, and then that little teeny termination point right there is the mids, which means that there's really not a lot there. And there's really everything for most music genres is existing actually right here. Actually, technically in the treble and the harmonics, but a lot of what you hear and don't want to have manipulated in a boosted or cut kind of way is at the bottom of that V. And this Tago Harmon SP is a V-shaped set. And it's quite intense. And it's not something that I can think of where I would use it, because as a bass lover, it's got too much upper mids for me to really enjoy, because with every hit, I get some other thing deck mixed going on. Tupac, All Eyes on Me, Sure Do You Want to Be a Thug, just give one example. The low frequency was constant going on. Everything that was deck mixed in there, in the upper frequencies, was very loud and present. It's a very much a V-shaped set, and I am kind of puzzled. I'll just wrap it up. Do I recommend it? Absolutely not for $300. I'd get the Daybreak. I'd get the Lush. If you want lots of bass, I'd get the Martillo. Forget about my Rex. I'd just say don't get this set. And if you think, well, you're not really a big fan of them, and you bought this yourself and you didn't, I would point out that most of the Moondrop reviews I've done on this channel were positive reviews, and I purchased nearly all of their gear. I don't like the way that the company does business, because they're very, very picky about who they deal with. For example, I didn't know this existed, and the last time I had any interaction, I gave a less than enthusiastic review, and I've literally never heard from them since. After the last mail being like, we got 10 things, pick all of what you want. And kind of knowing how it's going to turn out. So consider that. Consider the bias in reviews all the time. People are closer to some sellers than they are to others, and I see it all the time bleed into opinions. So let's summarize this and stick with the facts. It's a very small, very Spartan set, and it's $300 or a little bit more range. It's got a microphonic cable. It's got a design that is at least not great for an active lifestyle, and you can't lay down with it. You really got to sit down to listen to it. And then if you do that, the reward that you get for that is a old school V-shaped, bass boosted, upper mids boosted tuning that is very genre specific. So you can't just go through shuffle without doing EQ on this. And that's for $300. And I've got the Lush and the Daybreak up there as like literal recent things and more reasonable tuning that can do all of your library. And if you really require more, the Daybreak will play bass fine. I said backseat freestyle. That's just an example. Anything that's got significant low frequency drop, that separated DD called the subwoofer, is going to show itself. So even in the low frequency, I'd take the Daybreak over the Harmon SP, because it just does bass better. It doesn't really get in the way. Absolute total failure. What happened to Moondrop? If you got any ideas, comment below. My personal opinion is that they were very, very selective with their reviewers. They didn't get a lot of critical feedback, like saying this is totally unacceptable. I think Mark was fairly critical on a lot of stuff, but a lot of people were, what do they call it? Being like in a bubble, echo chamber. Like if you eliminate the people around you that are being critical of you, you're going to lose some of the feedback. And if some of that is like hate or rage, or like, that's fair, but some of it's legit. And this kind of shows that at $300, doing a collaboration with a company in Japan that is, I don't know what they make. I've never actually heard of them. And this is what you make with a 3DD set in the current environment, and what is popular and what is selling. And you price this at the price you price it at, design it how you designed it, and tune it like this. And this is the company that everybody said back in like 2018, 2019 is the gold standard of chi-fi. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Comment below this video, and I will have this out to somebody probably within 4 weeks. You guys have a great day, and I will see you probably in a couple days. And I am out. What happened to this company? Oh my God.